Now, I get the feeling that a fair few FPL managers are going to use the wild card in Game Week 2. And if you're one of those managers, well, I've got a team for you. Right, a couple of things before we get going. I'm not necessarily condoning a Game Week 2 wildcard, right? Your team might be in a position where you need to do it, and I probably agree. But in the most part, I do think it's a bit knee-jerky. But this video, the intention is not to tell you how to play the game. It's to help you if you want to use your wildcard. So what we've got here, I've got expected points data from Fantasy Football Hub for each position over the next 5 weeks. I think if you're using your wildcard, you want to pick players who are going to do well for the next 5 weeks. I think that's not a very controversial thing to say. So looking at the goalkeepers, top two are Alisson and Raya. And I just don't want to spend 5.5 million on a keeper. And if you look, who is the best goalkeeper that's less than 5.5 million? Rob Sanchez. So that's the goalkeeper I'm going for. Now, in terms of defenders, the top defender for expected points over the next 5 weeks, regardless of price, is Milenkovic. I really like Milenkovic. I also really like Pedro Porro too, who doesn't appear on this list. Milenkovic, I think, towards the back end of last season, was similar to Murillo in terms of defensive contributions. Forest in Game Week 1, I think, performed, even though they conceded the goal, they performed really well defensively against Brentford. Obviously, took the penalty for them to concede. And he is an absolute beast in the air from set pieces. So I really like the thought of going for Milenkovic. That's what I've taken from these expected points. So, defense for this team then. Sanchez in goal, like I said. A bench of Dubravka, Curtis, Steve, and I've gone for Anderson as well, who I think rotates fairly well with Richards, and I think he'll do all right for DEFCON points as well. Pedro Porro, I think, looks supremely attacking for Tottenham. A bit lucky maybe not to get sent off at the weekend, but yeah, I think he looks really good. And it's a question, I guess, of who you start in this team. You could start Anderson, who's got Man United, Porro's got Man City, and a Steve who's got Sunderland. I guess it's completely up to you who you play, I think, in this sort of middle defender spot. And then we've got Milenkovic. Richards, I didn't speak too much about him. I think, you know, Crystal Palace pretty solid defensively. They kept a clean sheet against Chelsea. Richards last season did really well for defensive contribution points. And I think there's a chance that the Forest Crystal Palace game could end 0-0. But there's a couple of players in this team you might not want to start against Richards. But I think with the strength of this defence on the bench, you've got plenty of options if you want to change it up. Now, all of the expected points data you see here is courtesy of Fantasy Football Hub, and you can also use Fantasy Football Hub to get your team AI rated. Stick to the end of the video to see what this team scores. If you want to use Fantasy Football Hub and sign up yourself, I'll get you 50% off using the link at the top of the description below. And if you don't win your mini league this season, Fantasy Football Hub promises you your money back. So 50% off, money back if you don't win your mini league. Link top of the description below. So midfielders then, and these are the top midfielders for the next 5 weeks. Salah is number 1, and to be honest, I think if you're using your wild card, you should probably have Salah and Haaland in it right now. I've seen enough from Cole Palmer in that first game, I think. If you're on your wild card, I'm not saying I've seen enough long term, but I've seen enough if you're knee-jerky enough to use your wild card that you probably shouldn't pick Palmer. Also, Saka, he wasn't great against Man United as well. See, Salah popped up with his goal. I think he's going to be a great option, right? And having both Salah and Haaland give you a chance to captain one of the best players in the game every week. Outside of Salah, you've obviously got Palmer, Saka, Bruno Fernandes, Wirtz, and Gakpo, who you could also pick. But if you're picking both Salah and Haaland, I don't necessarily think you can afford a very strong midfield alongside them. But that's not to say there aren't good options. So this midfield is Salah alongside Semenyo. I've gone for Njai. We'll see how he gets on against Leeds. I'm recording this actually because I've got to go away on Tuesday. I'm recording this on Monday night. So Njai might play well, he might not. I think there are other options at 6.5 million though, right? You've got potentially Declan Rice, to be honest, who should do well for DEFCONs, take set pieces, should score some goals and get some assists as a result of that. Ismail Assar of Crystal Palace, I think, will do quite well. I think if Eze leaves, that opens up even more of like an attacking role for him too. So it's not just Njai at 6.5 million. There's plenty of other options. Reinders at 5.6 million he is now. I just think, obviously, him or Elliot Anderson. If you really want to save some cash, you could go for both of them. But I think if you go for both of them, it leaves you with very little room to go. I guess you could go for Dewsbury Hall. Jury's still out on him, though, in my opinion. And then Rodgers at 7 million as well. So, obviously, you can't have another premium or sort of upper premium price midfielder in here along Salah. But I still think Semenyo, Njai, Reinders and Rodgers will still score you some decent points. So looking at strikers then, and I've already spoken, this team's got Salah and Haaland in it. I gave it away in the title and spoken about it then. But outside of Haaland, your best strikers are Isak, who, well, that's a minutes projection that he's actually going to play for Newcastle. I don't think he does. Watkins at 9 million, Mateta and Chris Wood at 7.5, and Ekitike, who does look really good. But I don't think you can pick him because obviously there's a risk that Isak could be joining Liverpool, right? So the front two for me, and it's based, of course, on Gameweek 1, but I think, you know, Chris Wood, I feel like I've doubted him quite a lot this season already, probably unnecessarily. You know, he scored 20 Premier League goals last year. He's the Nottingham Forest, I still think, penalty taker. He's going to be on penalties for them. Their fixtures, at least over the next couple, are really good. And who's to rule out Chris Wood just knocking in a goal against Arsenal, right? And then alongside him, obviously, I've gone for Erling Haaland. I like the idea of being able to rotate the captaincy across Salah and Haaland. And you look at the fixtures across the next 3 weeks, right? Game week 2, the one we've got coming up, Haaland's got Tottenham, Salah's got Newcastle. The expected points for Salah are higher, but honestly, if you've got Haaland in your team, you're probably going to want to captain him against Tottenham, particularly at the Etihad. And then in game week 3, well, Salah's got Arsenal at home, Haaland's got Brighton away. I'd consider captaining Haaland in that one. And then you can go back to Salah when he plays Burnley and Haaland plays Man United. Oh, wow, Haaland's got a great record against Man United too, so, you know, you can consider that. But I'd probably be captaining Salah. So I just like the idea of the rotation. I think, you know, Salah and Haaland, if you're on your wildcard, I'd pick both of them, and this is the team I'd go for around them. So to summarise then, all of this, by the way, is courtesy of Fantasy Football Hub, like I said before. 61.3 expected points this team gets in Game Week 2. Obviously, you're not just picking this team for Game Week 2, you're picking it for the long run. It costs 99.6 million, and depending on how the price rises have landed for you, Chris Wood, by the way, might be 7.6 million at the time this video actually comes out, so it goes up to 99.7, but still, everyone should be able to afford this team. And unfortunately, it only gets a 90% Fantasy Football Hub AI rating, but I think this is a really solid team. You know, you've got a decent defence there, decent midfield, and then Salah and Haaland in there alongside Chris Wood. Yeah, I think this is a really nice team, but let me know what you think in the comments. All right, and that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed that and found it useful. I've already made a free hit draft that will come out at the same time as this one. So if you're on your free hit, check that out on my channel as well. And if you're on your wildcard, hopefully this video helps you out too. Yeah, if you enjoyed this video in general, please leave me a like rating. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the Golden Goal channel, which should be just here on your screen. Yeah, that just leaves me to say thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in my next video.